Alright, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you about 4 things that I think I got out of the HEC Paris MIM. So now it's been like a bit more than a year after I actually finished my studies at HEC Paris, and as time goes on and on, I'm starting to discover more things that I actually got out of HEC. When you're actually in the middle of the program, it's not so easy to see the true value of it. But it's only after I have some distance away from it that I've actually started to see the value in the program. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you 4 of the things that I've noticed so far. The first one is that I've had the opportunity to move out of India and to France. But also, I've had the opportunity to switch from computer science to marketing. Because actually in my bachelor's, I studied computer science, but now what I'm doing is completely different from what I studied in my bachelor's. Moving from India to France right at the beginning of my career and also making a career shift at the same time, going from CS to marketing, would have been very, very difficult, if not impossible. Both in terms of just like finding the right kind of job that I want, but also getting the visa to be able to do that job and live here. Studying in France and studying at HEC, doing the MIM definitely helped ease that process a lot. It kind of hit 2 birds with 1 stone. One, I was able to switch from CS to marketing, but also I was able to move from India to France at the same time without having to spend 2 to 3 years getting work experience before doing an MBA. In France, and just like other countries as well, there are special visa rules and provisions for people who've actually studied here. And for the visa thing, without getting into specifics, I can tell you that if you've studied here and if you find a job, getting a visa is really not on top of your worries. On top of that, because I studied at a school like HEC Paris, which is the #1 business school in France, employers would look at you a little bit more favorably. And when you got everything else that's going on against you, which is like the language and the fact that you're a foreigner, having one less thing for an employer to like really question definitely helps a lot. The second thing that I've got out of HEC Paris is I've got access now to a network of very high impact people. So HEC is a very competitive school to get into, and you guys probably know that already. And one of the outcomes is that it's hard to get in, but the other outcome is that once you've got in, everyone who's there at HEC has also worked really, really hard to get there. And so the result is that you're pretty much just surrounded by people who are extremely competitive and ambitious. I think for me, that's one of the benefits of attending a top school. While what you learn in the classroom is pretty much kind of gonna be the same as like other business schools, but the difference is that your peer group is a bit different, because the competitiveness of getting into HEC definitely reflects in the people that I was surrounded with when I was at HEC. I found myself within a peer group that was very, very strong and motivated. And if there's one thing that I've observed is that when you surround yourself with strong, motivated, ambitious people, you also just tend to become more like that. It just becomes like the thing to do. But you know what? What I've discovered is that the value of this is a lot more after I've graduated. So yeah, sure, when I was at HEC Paris, the people around me were great. Those same people now end up going and working at different countries around the world doing crazy things. Again, like I said, right, because it's so hard to get into the school, the people who go there, a lot of them end up like doing great things afterwards. And because you've studied together in the same school at the same time, there's like the special bond that's kind of created, and that just gives you access to this network. So those relationships that you build while drinking beers and at parties, they end up having really strong value even after school. The next thing that the MIM at HEC Paris has given me is social proof that helps me wherever I go, at least in France and in Europe. Okay, so like back in India, if you tell someone that you're from IIT or IIM, they just kind of look at you differently. Or if you're in the US, you tell someone you're from MIT, Stanford, Harvard, any of these kinds of like Ivy League schools, people just look at you differently. They look at you differently in positive as well as negative ways, but like there's this kind of judgment of you being a little bit more competent. HEC Paris gives you the same thing, but in France or in Europe. Look, I'm not saying that I personally agree with this way of judging people, or I'm not saying that people from HEC are like smarter or better than other people, but that's just how the world works. Like these kinds of names and labels on your CV and on your profile definitely give you a little bit of a boost, at least at the beginning. People want to find quick ways to judge you, and your grades and the schools that you've studied at are a way for people to quickly judge you. No one's gonna hire you just because you're from HEC Paris, but having gone to a school like HEC or ESSEC or ESCP, any of these top 3 ones, it's definitely gonna make the process of getting that first interview a little bit easier. The last thing that I got from HEC is a strong life experience that I know will compound in value over time. Honestly, my experience at HEC Paris and in France has been life-changing. I learned so much about different people from different places, but also people from different social, cultural, and economic backgrounds. Growing up, we tend to surround ourselves with people who are kind of similar to us and our families. But when you come to a school like HEC, you end up finding yourself in rooms with people who you otherwise otherwise would not be in the same room with. Like seriously, like I've met people whose family backgrounds have been really different from mine. And I think it's amazing to have the opportunity to meet such people and network with such people because it just teaches you a lot about how the world works. And I know that having this experience in my early 20s, this level of insight into the world, I know it's only going to compound in value over time because you use this insight as leverage to get to your next destination. And then that ends up being a little bit better. It just goes on like that and it just compounds. All right, there you go, guys. I think these insights are probably maybe a little bit controversial. Maybe I'm not thinking about things the right way, but these are just my perception of what I've got out of HEC Paris in the 3 years that I was there and also in the last 1 year that I've like graduated from there now. And yeah, if you have any questions or feedback or comments, like the comment section's always open and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks guys, and see you guys in the next one.